Welcome to Hands-on Hardware. Today we're going to have a look at Be Quiet's latest offerings in their CPU cooler lineup, the PureRock 2FX in their blacked out edition, so everything on this cooler is black. The PureRock is a part of their Essential lineup, so it's one of their cheaper CPU coolers. But as far as I know, it's the first one that comes with an RGB fan. On the side we have some technical data. Pause if you want to read it all. I think the important point is the socket compatibility. You can mount it on basically any motherboard you want. The TDP of 150 watt is enough for any newer 8-core CPU with some overclocking headroom. The light ring goes up to 2000 RPMs. Sounds like a lot, but these fans run very quiet. And an important point you shouldn't overlook is thermal grease already applied, so if you open it up, don't touch it. Let's have a look inside. Oh, nice. The first thing you see is the capped heat pipes. This is really nice looking. So you get your standard 120mm fan, your CPU cooler, and your mounting hardware and paper documentation. Hey! So you can see the thermal paste is already applied. I'm going to clean it before I get this on everything. Let's have a look at the mounting surface. As we can see, we have direct touching heat pipes. That's always the best kind of heat pipe for heat transfer. But I have to say the surface finish isn't the best I've ever seen. Looks a bit rough. But I have to say, in general, the cooler looks very, very nice. These caps make just such a good finish on these heat pipes. In general, the black coating is just gorgeous. For a cooler, this is supposed to be the essential line, so the entry line in their CPU coolers. This is very impressive. On the side we can see we have two grooves, so supposedly we can mount a fan on both sides. Let's have a look at the fan. We can see it has only a RGB light pipe ring. No LEDs that are going to shine onto the blades. In general, I think that's a good design. It's different than most other brands. The RGB won't be so overwhelming. You have here on the back these tiny grooves with light pipe filled in. There you will have some RGB shining through also. So we'll have a bit color on the front and on the back. What I really don't like is these orange stickers. On a blackout fan, it just looks wrong. In general, on the fan, everything is black, but Be Quiet is orange. They should change that. Let's have a look at the mounting hardware. As always, for Intel, we get a backplate. It's around 1.5 millimeters, so it's good enough. We actually get 4 clamps to mount 2 different fans. I think that's very nice of them. It's not that much of an extra cost for them to manufacture, but it's nice to be able to mount a second fan. Then we have our Intel mounting hardware. A good thing they did is they made separate mounting brackets for 1700 and the other older Intel sockets, because the holes are so close together but not the same. So it's possible if all 3 holes were in the same brackets to mount your cooler crooked, and that's not a good idea to do that. Then you get the basic screws, they're always the same, and then we got your AMD mounting hardware to brackets and your screws and your standoffs. Then we get this bracket. This is your hold down bracket for your CPU cooler. I really don't like this design. You have to put it in there at the bottom of the CPU cooler. Find the right location. It only fits in one location, that's good. And then screw it in. But if you have to mount your cooler like this with a standing case, I don't really like this design. I've seen better ones. Let's try to mount the fan on the cooler. You can see we have some silicone pads for dampening. That's always nice to have. So bottom left with the cables. Put it somewhere in the middle. Then you hook on your hold downs and press until it locks in. Same on the other side. And your fan is mounted. That's all there is to it. Regarding cable length, the fan cable itself is around 22 centimeters. The RGB cable is around 50 centimeters. That's quite a bit longer than the fan cable, so you are able to reach a RGB hub somewhere in your case, on the back of your case or wherever it is. So what's the conclusion? I looked up the MSRP. It's around a little bit over 50 euros, but I couldn't find a vendor that wanted more than 40 euros for the cooler. And I think for 40 euros, it's really a steal. You get a well-built, blacked out, good-looking tower cooler, an RGB fan that's around 20 euros on its own. So actually you pay 20 euros for your cooler and 20 euros for your fan, and that's just a steal. You get all this mounting hardware. You can mount it on any system you want. You can even mount two fans if you want. So I don't see anything wrong with this CPU cooler. I would recommend you go out and buy one if you need one. So that's that from me. See you in the next one. Subscribe.